The storm is over now. You've earned your cap and gown. It's black graduation. Black graduation. It's a celebration. It's a celebration. Black graduation. Black graduation. It's a celebration. Black graduation. Hey. The storm is over now. You've earned your cap and gown.
Hello. My name is Lee, but y'all can call me Honey Lee, and I'm the founder of the ReachOut Organization. And we have this podcast to collaborate with our mission of effectively educating individuals. And so we have a special guest today who we're going to get to know a little bit about her background with music and her experience as a first-generation student. So, yeah, we'll just hop right in. Thank you for joining us today. If you could introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background. Oh, also, I meant to say, I met you at our alma mater. Congratulations, recent graduate. And so that's where I met you. And so that was one reason I was inspired to do this interview. Okay, so go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for pretty much inviting me to do the interview. I'm definitely honored. Well, my name is Naja Gbala. My stage name is Nanii, Babii. I'm a singer, rapper, dancer, poet, spoken word artist, pianist, songwriter, model, and an actress. Yes. As you stated, I am a first-generation college student, class of 2020. We made the world stop. So, I'm definitely super excited to share a little bit of light about, my experience over these 5 years attending SIUE.
Okay, awesome. So I remember seeing you throughout campus. Anytime there would be a student event, particularly Black Heritage Month or anything MPHC, if it was possible, I know you would always find a way to share some of your music or play the piano. And the first time I was like, wow, I really like this song. I don't remember which year it was. I just remember I was like, wow, you were playing the piano at the same time. So I was like, I really like this song. And it was different from everyone else because yours was original. Other people were singing Beyonce or, rapping, freestyling, but it was really cool to hear an original piece. And then over time, I just kept seeing you on campus. And then my personal favorite as of right now in this moment was the graduation song.
Yeah, Black Graduation.
Yeah, Black graduation. I was like, oh my gosh, she's so fun. I was like, I love this song. I had it on repeat. I was sharing it with all my friends. But to come around from all of that, when did you realize that you had a passion for music?
Well, I've grown up in the choir with my grandparents or whatnot. And around 12, that's when I decided to take it a bit more seriously. Though I was very young and everybody's like, girl, you can't sing, you can't dance, you can't But, I just kept going with it. I just kept going. And, throughout time, it's a love for me. It's not a hobby. It's not, something that I just do in my free time or anything like that. This is another love for me. So, when it comes to music, it really saved my life because I went through a lot growing up. I actually did not have a voice. I was very shy, very timid. Whenever anyone would say anything to me, I would just listen and I would never voice my opinion. So it's now that, I've been able to pretty much gain the confidence that I need to perform on campus and perform at different events and even, have paid performances. It definitely changed everything on my end where it's wow, this is my dream initially. So it's this is something that my grandmother inspired me to just keep going. She literally says, never give up on your dreams all the time. So it was that stuck with me throughout everything. So when I came here to SIUE, I'm okay, I'm go to college, whatever. But you know, I knew for a fact like music is instilled in me, and I gained different connections, networking with different people, telling them what I do, learned about what they do. And I just would just play the piano or just sing or go to open mic club. Like I joined that.
Open mic.
One mic. It was real dope. It was real dope. So, you know, from there, different opportunities came where people would email me and say, hey, is it possible for you to perform at this event? Or if I would hear like, oh, it's a Black History Month event, okay, I'm going to write a song dedicated to us. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about what we've been through and encourage as well, because although we've been through a lot of trauma, we don't want to look like what we've been through. So I try to always twist it up with a, you know, a positive spin. I guess a fun fact as far as the Black graduation song, I reached out to Dr. P and I asked her, hey, you know, can I perform? And she was like, nah, girl, you did last year. That wasn't me. So, you know, she was like, oh, okay, cool. I said, okay, well, I'm going to write a song. It's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be called Black Graduation. So she's like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. You know, just come in next week and let me hear it. So I'm like, all right. So I went home, you know, I was just writing. It was a lot going on, so it took some time, but I finally was able to sit down and write it. I knew I wanted it to be very like emotional and real, because not just from my own personal experiences, but the different connections and networking that I've made over time, I learned a little bit of everyone's story. So initially, like, we all have the same foundation and we're just trying to come up from there. So that was pretty much my inspiration behind that. Like I said in the lyrics, like full-time student, full-time teacher, you know what I'm saying? Like full-time, you know, trying to be your family supporter, like all of that, it like hit home when I made it. So to get the feedback, you know, like you just said, where it's like, oh, that's love, it's like everything to me. And to know that this year, you know, me graduating, I was supposed to perform it at my own Black graduation. It's like, oh gosh, like, woo, COVID.
Right. It's so crazy how life goes, you know. Yeah. But I really love what you said about being able to use your voice, and I think especially during our chaotic time right now, but just in general, it's very important that we use our platform the best way we can. And not everyone's strength is, you know, necessarily talking or public speaking, but whatever your strengths are and whatever skills or talents you have is always essential to make sure you're doing it. So that's awesome. Oh my goodness. And I think, so I remember you said you're a pianist, and you also said like your grandparents, you know, had a huge influence. So I sort of relate to you on that because my grandma, she's also a pianist, and they also, you know, had me in church, had me in the choir. And so a combination of that, and then, you know, my mom playing all the good hip hop, Run DMC, the good R&B, Tony, you know, EBD, Beyonce, Usher, the original R&B, you know, just like a combination of everything. Of course, Michael Jackson, you know, we go on for days, but just having that exposure, always being around music, I think that's why I love music. One of the many reasons, but do you play any other instruments besides the piano?
Well, I'm currently learning how to play the guitar. That's a different skill, though. That's good to play with. Like, I'm like, I need skills. And I also play the drums a little bit as well.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, nice little mixture there, really.
Yeah, I want to, because I really like the beat is almost always something that will attract me to a song 80% of the time. But I don't know. I don't think I can coordinate my foot at the same time. But I have to try it one day. I do play viola, but I want to learn guitar as well, and I want to learn saxophone, and then I think I'll be okay. I also play harmonica, but I'm not like a pro. I just, you know, improvise like jazz, you know.
That's amazing.
I also remember you said that over time, like, you were able to build your confidence when you're on campus or at certain events. So did you ever have stage fright, like before you were a student leader and before you came into your own? Did you have any like fears or anything?
Actually, absolutely. I still do to this day. I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm nervous, you know. And people never know. Like, they're like, you just went out there and killed it. I'm like,
never can tell.
Let me look. Hold on. Let me take a walk real fast.
Yeah.
Because initially, like, when I do perform, ultimately, like, I really just want people to, you know, gain something from it. Like, it's always some kind of twist or turn that'll, you know, even, you know, trigger some kind of emotions, you know, to the audience members. So when I write, I'm also being very vulnerable as well. I'm not just, you know, thinking or rapping about anything. It's literally like a part of me that I'm telling you and sharing with you. And it's like, you can either take it or you can leave it, or, you know, and as far as feedback, it's always been like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I was a foster child too. Like, my grandmother raised me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom struggled with drugs as well, you know, and you've been a first generation college student, like I am too. So it's like, I try to aim towards that when I write. It's pretty much me putting my heart out on paper. So when I perform, I'm absolutely nervous always. But when I get up there and I look into the crowd, because I like to look at the crowd. I look at the crowd. I want to, you know, watch the crowd pretty much like shift into like, oh, okay, hold on. Or even if they're all talking and then I start singing, they get quiet and look. Got your attention.
Right.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Because I'll say this. I think public speaking is so interesting, and it comes so natural for some people, and then for some of us it does not. I think for me, I'm usually, in the beginning I was nervous, so like until I was a sophomore I was nervous, and then I got used to it, and then I also would usually know the crowd or some people in the crowd, so that would take away some of my nerves. But because of my voice, sometimes it'll just waver on its own. And I think that like will take away a little bit, but over time I just had to learn like how to control that. But I think that's very interesting that you look at the crowd. I always look like straight back. I don't make any eye contact because I'll instantly like lose my train of thought. And I love how you said that you're vulnerable with your work, like you're willing to be vulnerable. Because for me, I don't know if I identify as a poet, but I definitely love poetry, and I'm an old soul, so I think it's part of my responsibility to share the poetry of our ancestors. But there are times where, oh wow, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Poetry and
ancestors.
Yes. Okay. Wow, it's just like gone. Hold on, it'll come back.
It'll definitely come back for sure.
Oh, you said you were being vulnerable, and so that's one reason why when I write my own poetry, I usually don't share it. Like, I've probably shared my personal poetry with like maybe two people. And that was after getting my arm twisted. But it's like you said, I just haven't accepted that level of vulnerability. Even though, like you said, people come with feedback saying they relate to you, you know, there's always someone that's going to relate to your story and your situation. So even though that's the case, I think in my mind, especially since like I'm in the spotlight, quote unquote, I'm just like, they know it's me. Like, they know it's me. Even if it's them too, they know for a fact it's me. So I think that'll take me some time to adjust to, but I just want to say I admire that. That's pretty dope.
Thank you. I would definitely say, as far as, you know, a little bit of advice with that is definitely, you know, performing for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like doing poetry for yourself, or even like recording it on, you know, your phone and kind of like seeing how you sound. And possibly like, hey girl, what you think of this? You know, and just kind of start off small to, you know, get, you know, a lot more like, you know, better at, you know, just performing and everything like that. Because I was in show choir in high school, where I was pretty much like lead singer dancer, and it just kind of happened. It was songs. I auditioned for it. I made it. I had like probably 10 different solos, and everybody was like, Naja, you just taking all the songs.
Right.
I'm just practicing. I'm just going home practicing. So I feel like, I don't know, like I'm really at this point now, where I'm confident, but I'm also in the same sense, like I'm also afraid of the judgments. And because, yes, things could be positive, but people can also say negative things about you. And me, I wouldn't say that I can't handle that. It's more so like I'm my biggest critic.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
even if we're like, oh, your voice cracked, or oh, you could have did this a little differently, it's like I've already told myself that now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give off this, oh, like I know I'm stuff, and can't nobody tell me nothing. Like, no, like I love feedback, constructive criticism, like I'm all for it. So it's like, it's just, it's just nerve wracking, as you said. Like I feel like sometimes even with music, because I'll be releasing my mixtape soon. Even with music,
put the plug, shameless plug.
yes. So it's like, yeah, like we'll see as far as the feedback, but I definitely want to utilize people in my life, people that's Team Nanii, to let me know, like express to me, like how did my song make you feel, or my music video, or what do you want to see moving forward? Because in order for me to grow, I definitely need a team around me to inspire me and critique me and let me know, okay, try this next time. Or I have a couple people who say when I sing, I kind of like just play it safe. I don't try to go for all the high notes, although I can. Again, with me being nervous and kind of like, I don't know if I want to do all that. It's like it takes a bit of time. So it's definitely going to be something that it'll take. It won't happen overnight, but the more you do it, the better and the easier it'll come.
Okay. Yes, thank you. That makes sense. I think that is one of the many reasons I decided to start a podcast as well, just to build my communication and public speaking. But that is helpful because I don't like the sound of my own voice. But in addition,
believe it or not, I be turning off.
Right.
The only time for that I know I'm gonna be happy to hear my voice is when my song, like my first song, is played on the radio. Like I know for a fact
yes, all the way up. Oh man. Yeah. So we'll just segue into our next question. And similar to what we were just talking about, having stage fright or other challenges with public speaking and working on our strengths and improving our weaknesses. What do you think over the course? You said since you were 12. So since you were 12, what do you think one of your biggest challenges have been as a musician?
Honestly, I would say mind over matter. I feel that, it's a lot of different artists out there that's very talented. We see it all over social media, all on TV, all over, the networks, everything. And, for me, it's like, sometimes that's discouraging. Like, oh, like, I don't know, like, if I'll ever make it or whatever the case is. But in my head, like, I already made it. So it's like, it's not how, who can see it. Like, no, I'm not. If I step outside, I'm not going to have paparazzi at my door. But, I just had to learn that, I am me and I can only offer myself. I'm not trying to be Beyonce, Megan, or anybody else out here. They're phenomenal, go crazy, but I'm only being the best me that I can be. So when it came to like, different people telling me as far as feedback, like, oh, your voice is so small, it's so little, or you sound like a mouse, or like I heard a lot of stuff before, but it just never influenced me where it was like, oh, okay, that's how you feel. Well, I'm going to keep on going, to the point where I've had different performances where I've performed at funerals. I've performed at, huge luncheons. Like I've competed in competitions and won different trophies and things like that, where it's like I'm showing myself, wow, like I feel that God gave me this talent, so I need to use it. And I don't need to compare myself to the next person that's in the music industry or doing anything similar to myself. So
exactly. I think that's very, very important. Understanding not to, like, comparison kills. So understanding you have your talent and that talent is yours, like you were saying, just be you. That's phenomenal. Do you think there are any obstacles that have come your way? For instance, I am on the path or on the journey of becoming a medical professor. But there was a point in time where I was like throwing my hands up, like I'll just work in public health, and that's no shade. But I was at this level of discouragement, and I just felt like the journey wasn't going to be worth the reward.
Right.
But then I turned around from that. So have you had any experience like that, or you just are so passionate about it, you're able to continue to keep going?
Yeah, well, honestly, yes, I had basically like a dramatic situation take place when my grandmother passed away. It pretty much, it took me to a very dark place where it was like, you know, I'm doing all this for her. You know, I feel like I was doing everything for her, everything. And to lose her, it was just like, oh my gosh, like even with college, like I was ready to drop out. If I'm being honest, I was like, no, you know, why am I fighting, you know what I'm saying, to do all that I'm doing, and the one person I'm doing it for is no longer even here to see it and physically be in my presence. But, you know, it's literally right after she passed away that next semester, I decided to keep pushing and staying strong. And I'm like, okay, I feel like at this point you're watching me. You know what I'm saying? Like you're up there with God and my grandfather and you're watching me, so I have to give you a show. I have to show you now, like you're with me everywhere I go, period. So I turned that around and I wound up getting my first 4.0 GPA in college, and I was like, what? My eyes out, because I'm like, everybody knows I love my grandmother. So it was like huge. And like around that time, I competed in a pageant for my sorority. Had no idea it was a pageant. One, I just thought I was singing. My advisor set me up. You want to sing? I said, yeah, of course I want to sing.
Of course.
So I actually competed against two other sorors of mine, and I was the third person to go. And they pretty much did covers. Like you was talking about other people when they perform, like they did covers like Alicia Keys, stuff like that. But I decided to sing an original song that's called Mockingbird, about my grandmother, about, you know what I'm saying, growing up and, you know, having her love and her support and how much that meant for me. And I pretty much got a standing ovation and I won. I was crowned Miss Annie Neville of the Central Region. So we have 5 regions. So literally I represented like the entire Central Region. And I also went to compete in Boulay against the other Miss Annie Nevilles who won, and I won second runner-up for that. So it's like, although a lot of things has been discouraging, really, you know, I've definitely kept the faith. I've definitely said, hey, you know, as long as God keep me on this earth every day, I'm going to push towards my dreams, and I'm not going to be afraid to, you know, take these different steps and leaps of faith. So
awesome. I love that. That's just yes. I think it's just like there's so many things that I feel like some of us need to hear, and that's really one of them. You know, I think a lot of the times obstacles are really just distractions, you know, on top of many other things, but it can also be considered a distraction and deter you from what you're actually meant to do. So, and I think that's also very important, like remembering when our family passes on that there is a part of them still with us because of how they influenced us, you know, how they raised us, and like you were saying, the passion that you had for music, or you have for music as a result of the influence your grandparents have on your life. So that's all just, this is perfect. This is perfect. Okay, so we're going to segue into the first generation part, but I wanted to ask one more question about being a musician. You definitely touched on it in your introduction, but I just wanted to ask again, like how you identify as a musician. So some people say, you know, I'm an artist. Some people say I'm a musician, or I'm a singer, or I'm a rapper. Do you think you go by just one title, or you just fall under all the categories? You take all the categories. How do you feel about it?
Well, on my business card, it actually says multi-talented performer.
Okay.
So, you know, like I said, I'm very versatile, as well as a songwriter. I've actually had one of my old bosses, she had me basically write a song about her son. I told her I could do that. Just tell me a little bit about him. So I interviewed her on the phone. She told me like, oh, he's a wrestler, but he went to the doctor. His spine was messed up. The doctor said he would never be able to wrestle again. And God turned around, and here he is wrestling, about to go to the championships. And I was like, wow. So I, basically wound up writing a song about him called Baby Boy. And I actually went to perform it live at his surprise party. And that was the finale of everything. And everybody was crying, like in tears. Like, oh my God. And I just felt so accomplished because I decided to step outside of myself. I had never done that before. But, my major is public relations with a minor in creative writing. So I pretty much decided to, okay, let me take these, creative minds, the creativeness basically out and just see what happens. And that was a stretch, but it wound up being amazing. So it's like, everything that I have to offer is like, you let me know. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much, do you want me to sing? Do you need me to model? I asked you, would you want a little bit of that? You want me to write a song for somebody special? I can do that too. So I'm really just going with the wind. I feel like God gave me all of these talents together. And all of them are a different love, a different passion. And it's still the same drive. I'm not sure which, talent is going to outshine the other, but ultimately I'm all of them put together. So
yes, awesome. I definitely feel you. I definitely hear you on that. We're definitely blessed individuals, and we're multifaceted. So I think a lot of times God can even surprise us. Many times, God can even surprise us with what we end up doing, like the path we end up going. So yeah, okay, awesome. So now the good stuff. Well, it's all been good, but I'm really interested in this part because I think it's very important to not only understand the experience of a first generation student, but to encourage future first generation students. And although I am not a first generation student, many of my friends are, and I definitely am able to understand all the pros and cons to being a first generation student. And so I wanted to know, because college isn't for everybody. So I was wondering how you decided to still attend college, even though you knew that your passion was with music and you knew that you were very strong and you're successful, you were going in the right direction. Because a lot of people just focus on music, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what made you decide that you should do both?
Well, so I was the first person out of my family to graduate high school as well. So once that was over, I wanted to be a doctor of veterinary medicine. So like, in order to be a doctor, I have to go to school. Yeah. And like my family and the people was just like, girl, you don't got to be a doctor. Like nobody else went to school. Nobody else did this. Like you can just stay here. So you can just get your money together and get your own apartment and be good. And I'm like, no, I want to go to school. So as far as like the support for real, it was a lot of people that was kind of just like negative about it. Like it costs a lot of money. I don't know how you're going to do that. Who I am. And I'm just like, I just trusted God. I said, well, this is what I want to do. So I'm going to trust him. And, throughout my 5 years of attending SIV, definitely challenging, but God always worked it through for me. And I would say as far as making the decision to go to school and, go to college and finish versus just going, into the music industry, because a lot of like my high school professors was like, what? You're not going to a performing arts school? Naja, you're so talented. And I'm like, thank you. But I feel like God gave me this talent. So it would be a waste of money really to invest that much into music in that moment. I felt like regardless, it's something that's going to stick with me and I'm going to pursue regardless where I'm located. Yeah. I knew for a fact that I had bigger shoes to fill, with having 2 younger sisters and 2 older brothers, and a foster brother as well. My mom, it's like, I know for a fact that they are looking at me and they are, inspired by me. They've told me so many times, and specifically with my younger sisters, I have one little sister named Sanaya, and she'll actually be 18 going to college soon. So I'm like, hey, I need to get this together. So like you said, college is not for everybody, but I knew for a fact that I could do it. So I did it. And now that it's done, it's like I can pretty much wipe my hands and say, cool, everybody else, y'all know y'all can come on and follow. Y'all need help with whatever. I got y'all. We in this together. You know, I did it. You can do it. We all can do it together. So for me, it was mainly for my family. Like, I'll be honest. It was mainly to, you know, show my family, like, although we come from a dark background, although we come from, you know, so many different trials and tribulations and a lot of things were out of our control, you know, it's okay to gain control eventually. So that's what I decided to do. And now that I have, you know, I'll officially be done with undergrad on the 4th of July. Mm-hmm. I'm taking 3 summer classes right now. They're kicking my butt, but I will get over it. I will get it done.
Yeah, you got it.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you. So the 4th of July is definitely a turn up, not because of the date,
right.
but none of that, but because you feel me, I'll officially be done with undergrad. And I'm actually planning to pursue my music career fully after this. So
awesome. Okay, that's very inspiring, as of course you've said. But I also think, yeah, I'll say that. I also think that those of us that are blessed with multiple talents generally will have, you know, a big heart and be willing to help others. I think when we have a passion and we know what our passion is, it's easier to encourage and help others when they figure out what their passion is. So like you were saying, I also have younger siblings, and I try and pay attention to them as best as I can and say, all right, this is one of your strengths. Like, you can lean towards this direction. I'll, you know, send them a few different Pinterest links or something on Instagram to help get their brain flowing on like different careers or different after school activities, music, whatever the case may be. So I think it's very important that when we know what we want to do, we're also, you know, helping pull somebody else up. So that's really awesome. And I do definitely agree. I think, although, because I didn't know it was an option to not go to college when I was a junior. When I was a junior in high school, I was at some summer camp. Excuse me. I was at a summer camp, and the counselor was like, "All right, everyone, go around. You know, say your name, your age, where you're from, and what you're gonna do after high school." And I'm sitting here like, okay, we're all gonna say the same thing. And somebody's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do after high school. And I'm like, wait, this is a choice? We don't have to go to God? But because of my career path, undergraduate degree is definitely necessary. But I just think that's funny and interesting, that we can be motivated by those outside of us. And so I was definitely motivated to go to school and graduate and to continue my career. Like you were saying, to break generational curses and to just show others, like, this is an example, you can do it too.
Yes.
Okay. So, in relation to that, what does it feel like being a first generation student? So that first semester, when you first got to SIU on the campus, after Cougar died and all that good stuff is over, how were you feeling? And after, you know, you finally got adjusted to classes that first semester, what was it like versus once you graduated?
Well, honestly, I would say that I've always been, I always had my head on straight. I've always been focused. So, I mean, I was ready for it. I was 18, you know, going fresh into college and kind of like, oh, I don't know what to expect. But it's like I would have conversations where people would say, oh, you have to get up for class. If you don't make it to class, then that's on you. You know, some students, you know, they'll go and, you know, decide to go to college and, you know, kind of just stray away from classes, don't go and all this other stuff. Like, I heard all of that, but I was like, I already knew I did not have to worry about that, because once I start something, I have to finish it.
Same.
Not saying that I saw the finish line at 18. I did not. I had to, like I said, I changed my major and things like that. And it was like, oh, no, I don't know. I cried because I'm like, I'm supposed to be a vet. That's the only reason I'm here, because I love animals. But as I started to dig more into like the kind of person I am and started to find myself really, I began to realize every time someone would ask, like, why do you want to be a vet? And I would say, because I want to be the voice for animals, because I feel like they're one of the most neglected living things, on top of like elderly people as well, with like dementia and things like that. So I want to be the voice. And when I put all that together, I realized my freshman year, one of my professors in my ACS 101 class was like, oh my God, all your speeches are phenomenal. Have you considered majoring in ACS? And I looked at it and was like, girl, no, I'm about to be a doctor.
ACS.
Dr. Gbala, no. But look at me now. And I love, love, love my major, my decision to, do public relations and, continue to express myself. It also plays a part in, like the different talents that I have as well, where it's like, oh, okay, using my voice. So, I mean, I definitely went in blind and was just like trusting God the entire time. A lot of times the situations, it was difficult, meeting a lot of different people that's not necessarily on the same page as you, that want to just go party and, knowing they got to pay for it, don't do this. Like, I had to really establish not only just self-control, but just, having end game in mind, like knowing where I want to end and how I want to go. And I take my grades very seriously. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to handle my business first and, play later. So
I definitely think that's a good point to make. Having your head on straight and your priorities right. I think it was probably, 2016 to 2017. So I'll probably say my junior year, it was definitely a period where I have my head on straight, but my priorities aren't straight. So even though my grades were important to me, they weren't a priority for a number of reasons. Primarily because I was also working full time. And so trying to balance that with a full-time course load was a lot more challenging than I expected it to be, because my classes had got more difficult than the previous semester. And I didn't always communicate the best with my professors, or I wouldn't always understand their teaching style. I didn't understand my learning style. So it was an accumulation of so many things. But I love how you said, like, you didn't see the end goal when you first got there, but just reminding yourself, like, hey, this is actually why I'm here, and this is what I want to do. I also want to touch on the topic of changing your major. I think that's like something a lot of us struggle with, because like they say, college is the best years of your life. And like you were saying, you learn a lot about yourself, about your interests, strengths and weaknesses. And so I think it's definitely, it doesn't seem like it is to me. It doesn't seem like it's acceptable, to change your major, especially if you're like 3 years in, everybody's looking at you sideways like, what? But I definitely think that should be, I don't know if normalized is the word, but I think it should be more accepted, that you start off feeling one way or thinking one thing, but then realizing your interests change over time. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know a lot of times it's other voices in our head too, our family, or as you were saying before, the haters and the doubters, like a lot of negativity might be coming, but it's just still important that, we persist and we just do what's best for you, because you got to live with yourself. So, all right. We got 2 more questions before we wrap up. Thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome. What advice would you give to other first generation students? I know you sort of touched on it, but if for any other first generation students listening, what would you tell them? What do you wish someone had told you when you first went in?
Well, I would like to start with, it's not going to be easy. It's definitely going to be a race, but take your time. You're the only one on the track. So don't look at other people that's graduating in 4 years, 2 years, 3, 5, 6, or 7. You have your own course to take. So definitely just be patient with yourself, even if others are not patient with you. And be truthful and honest to yourself, because like you said, a lot of those comments and negative energy, it can be distractions. It can, deter you away from the end game. But, initially, it starts with you. So just, go in pretty much and just have a positive mindset about everything and go with the flow. Really, that's the main thing, and trust yourself and grow as a person. And I would also touch on gaining connections with professors.
Yes.
If we're being honest, that is a huge part. I've always been like a hands-on kind of student. But I've learned now where it's literally just an email, even like going to see them during office hours and things like, or even small conversations in class, even if little stuff like, oh yeah, so the assignment coming up is about, okay, cool. I just wanted to get a little bit more of an understanding. They are there to help. They want you to learn and be able to learn. Some students, people, they'll come in and kind of like sit down and not really be engaged, but it's ways around it. Like I can honestly tell you that I've gained so many connections with professors. I have letters of recommendations lined up to the point where they're excited to know where I'm going moving forward, and they're excited to be a part of the process. I even had one professor specifically, Dr. Lou and Dr. Chia, actually both of them in the ACS department. I'm difficult, but they're about their business. That's what it is. Like you got work, no late assignments, none of that. So I had them for like majority of my classes, and it was a semester I wasn't doing so well. Literally, we talk about it. I'm telling you, my GPA that semester was like 1 point something. 1 point something. I'm not sure what, but it was probably 1.5, 1.6. I don't know. But I did horrible that semester. And that was the same semester my grandmother had passed. And then the next semester, like I said, I turned around and got no. And they saw me walking. They said, oh my God, Naja. Like, I don't know what happened, but I'm so proud of you. You got a 4.0. We've been watching you, and you know what I'm saying, you're just shining, and you just keep on doing what you're doing. We are so proud. I had no idea that, my professors are sitting together at lunch talking about me. So it's like, it just shows those connections. They really do take you to the next level, and it also helps with your experience being, on campus and everything, and having those connections where you can sit down and have mentors, or they want to know like what's going on. I feel like it's important to build a support system for yourself. And for me, I've always kind of struggled with having, quote unquote, the natural support system, like, oh, mom, dad, everybody's good. Right. Like, it's just been me and God this whole time, really just pushing everything along. Like, literally, it's just been me and God. So it's like, with everything that has happened over time, I'm just 110% grateful, humble. Me being a first generation, it means the world to me, because regardless what happens moving forward, I left my mark, and now my little sisters want to go to college. Even with me joining a sorority, like I knew nothing about the Greek life, anything, but I did my research and fell in love with the poodles and said, I'm gonna be a poodle, and I invested into myself. So I would say, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, regardless what that entails. And definitely just love yourself, like appreciate the process. People, they come and they go, but you're gonna be right there. So just stick to the plan.
Yes, all of that. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna just let that sink in, because people come and go, life goes on. Thank you, because they didn't hear you in the back. They didn't.
No, gotta say it again, 2 for the loose. Yes.
All right, so we're gonna close. My last question is, What's next for you? You kind of told us you got a project coming out, so you can talk a little bit more about that if you want. And, this cliche question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Of course, 2020, if anything, has taught us that is easier said than done, but your future goals and aspirations.
Okay. Well, I am planning for my listening party. I'm gonna have it July 10th. It's gonna be in Belleville at 5 o'clock. So I'm actually like, I've hired a party planner and everything. I'm investing like at least $600 into this listening party where I've completed 30 songs. So I'm about to have everyone listen to it and give me feedback. I'm getting t-shirts made with my mixtape cover on it, a chip bag with my mixtape cover on it, a big billboard, you know what I'm saying, a big poster. We can take pictures and things like that at the events. So that's like my nearest project that I'm working on as far as like music, and it's really going to be super exciting because I'm gonna have a lot of my family attend, as well as different artists. I have been making features with artists from LA, Atlanta, Nigeria, Texas, like, the different engineers who make beats as well. They've just been throwing me beats and you can use them, and I'm like one of these songs, if not all of them, go make it. So if it do, we gonna work this money out. So they been things, different engineers from Scotland, from Chicago, like it's just Atlanta, like it's just God has really been working as far as networking for me. So after my listening party, I actually plan to move to Atlanta. I will be moving at the end of July and pursuing my music career fully, fully, just to see, where God takes me. So I have connections there that are already pretty much waiting for me to land to, get these music videos jumping, get these recording studios going, shaking hands. Like God has worked it all out where literally all I have to do is land in Atlanta and the work is going to begin. So I'm giving myself a year minimum to just go music. Of course, money, gotta get your finances together, but, music. As much time as I've invested in college, I believe that it's time for me to invest in my dreams. It's like I said, especially since I've, done this for my family, really. It's for myself, yes, and my family, but my ultimate dream has always been music and pursuing that. So definitely seeing where God takes me with that. And I would say in 5 years, definitely looked at that and was like, woo, I don't even know what to say.
Right.
But how old will I be? No. I don't know. I just feel like I should be pretty much just grounded, grounded wherever I am in life. Everybody wants love. So, who knows, when it comes, it comes. As well as just being financially stable, period, for my family's sake. I'm big on once I get it done, everybody else is good. So I'm just, taking these yes, taking the steps necessary to not just elevate myself, but elevate those around me. And even with as far as connections, I plan on actually putting other people on. Like when doors open for me, like I'm grabbing hands and we running through the door together. So it's like, just really just seeing where God elevates me, and, just trusting the process, because this is a huge leap of faith, just as college was for me, a huge leap of faith. And here I am, I can say that I'm looking forward in almost 1 week to officially be done with undergrad, and I have to look at another assignment paper. Like I am not going back to school right now. I need to do my music. So yeah, that's.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being one of our guests on the ReachOut Roundtable podcast. And yeah, I was trying to think. What'd you say?
So, well, I appreciate you definitely for reaching out to me. I was super excited the moment you texted me. I was like, yes, I would love to.